What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Tribe of Runners podcast. Today, I have a guest that I have asked to be on this dang podcast forever now. He has such an amazing story, and he wanted to make sure that it came through and it wasn't just this like lollygag of a story. I know it's not, and I'm super excited to have Brad on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your crazy busy schedule and to share your crazy, crazy story that you're about to share with everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. I totally agree. This has been a long time coming, and we could discuss the reasons why it took so long. But I definitely want to thank you for having me on your podcast. I know everybody's got a story, and you've allowed a lot of people to tell their story, so that's very appreciated. And for sure, I want to just thank anyone that's listening right now because you look at time, and time's a commodity, and time is one of the greatest gifts you can give. So we have people that, whether they're crushing runs right now or in their car driving, I appreciated them kind of taking the time to listen to me tell my story to my good friend Liz.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm super excited for you to truly inspire so many people because you are 100% right. This is a crazy story. I remember literally reaching out to him. I was like, hey, like, I remember personally, like, you were going through injury. And instead of like being sad and sorrow, which I'm currently doing in my injury process, you were like educating yourself, getting certifications. I'm like, this is awesome. And you're like, but I'm not done yet. Give me more time. Let me keep writing my story. And then when my story gets quote unquote even better, I'll be ready to be on your podcast, which I love. So let's kind of backtrack. Like
Yeah,
tell everybody how we met each other. So we are both teammates on the Everyday Ultra,
yeah.
and we've grown to know each other very very well. So you got on the coaching team. We became friends. Tell us what happened next, and then like kind of where everything went haywire for you in your running journey.
I think I've had a very unique running journey because it was, I took like 17 years off from running, which was like that's like a lifetime, and it was through a lot of things that happened in my life. Why I did take time off. Maybe if I to start there, like when I first get in the
Yeah,
running. Yeah,
sure,
so
super sure.
so I'm in the military. I've been in the military for 23, 22 years, Canadian military. And back when I joined in 2003, of course, it's basic training, and we were forced to run at that time.
Mhm.
And I realized that it was something that I enjoyed. Um, and I was somewhat good at it. I'm not saying great, but good enough. And then now we're going to go fast forward to 2005, I believe. And up until then, I was doing a lot of hiking throughout the northeastern states. And then I decided, you know what, I've always wanted to try a marathon. So up until then, I was really just doing like short runs. And then I said, I'm gonna train for this, not knowing exactly what I'm doing. I go out and I start running about 3 months out from the marathon, thinking that's plenty of time. I probably get in like maybe 5 runs throughout a couple weeks, and then I go and I do a long run, knowing that it takes like months to do a long run, and I go for like 30 kilometers. And after that, I think I felt like a nagging injury, and it wasn't improving, so I just stopped. And then probably a week out from the actual marathon, it was the national marathon in Ottawa. I said, you know what, whatever, I'm going to sign up for this. I go and I sign up, and then I go and I give it a go. And then I did well, I would say really well compared to what I thought I would do. I think I got 3:59. I did like a little bit of walk, a little bit of run. And then when I finished it, of course, I didn't train properly. I was pretty much, I wouldn't say injured, but I didn't feel good for like a whole year. It took that long to like, get back into where I felt like comfortable running again. And that was because I did the mistake that so many people make and they don't prepare properly for it. And we're going to get to that later on in my second running career. And then we're going to fast forward again to 2006. And now I'm loving running. I'm going out like every week, probably like 5, 6 times a week, doing like 10K, 12K runs. So I'm actually preparing for another marathon across the PEI, small province we got on the East Coast. And now it's going to be in October. And I actually did, proper training, not with a coach or anything for this time. And I did quite well. I got like 3:35, 3:36. I wasn't injured, which was the biggest thing at the end of it. And And yeah, I just loved running back then. And then shortly after that, life changed. Different changes going on, who I'm hanging out with, what have you. Running was not no longer a priority for me. It wasn't something that I was doing at that time. So I literally stopped in like 2006, other than the odd time running over the years into 2023.
Oh, wow.
And that's like through my all my 30s, through a good chunk of my 40s. And it was so unfortunate that that happened. But that was just what life kind of brought to me.
Mhm.
And then now we fast forward to 2023. Uh, I'm really getting more into fitness at that time. For the breaks of that 17 years, I would do the odd. I'll get into the going to the gym, bodybuilding, weightlifting, what have you, a little bit of CrossFit back then, but not running. But then we get to 2023, and I'm a lot more involved with fitness on base, the military base I'm at. I was the co-chair for the physical fitness working group, which I volunteered for, and that's basically just our job is to really promote fitness on base. So I had to become more well-rounded in my own fitness levels. At that time too, I started getting really involved with a lot of diversity groups on base, and we had a run coming up, and it was the 5K, and it was they called the Rainbow Run, which promoted diversity with the LGBTQ plus community. And I had a good friend, and she's a major part of the story. And she was an accomplished runner within the K9 force, the CAF. And she said, "Let's go do this 5K run." So I said, "Sure, I would love to." And probably like 2 weeks out from that, maybe 3 weeks out, I came down with COVID. First time coming down with COVID during the COVID, the crisis.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty bad case of COVID. The whole family got it, including my baby at the time. And finally, it's like 10 days I had it, and we're getting closer to the date of the run. And I'm watching that line kind of go down, it's fading, fading, fading. Finally, the morning of the run, it's gone. So I'm like, yes, I'm good to go. So we meet up with a bunch of people from my unit, and then we start running this 5K. And I'm like, I'm getting winded. It's only 5K, but I'm just getting over COVID, and I had a hoodie on, and I couldn't wear the hoodie. It was getting too heavy and warm, and so I took that off, and then I can't even carry it. I'm so tired, so I hand it to my friend, and then we finally get the 5K done, and it's like yes. And then I felt really good because that was my first time being in somewhat of an organized run, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get slowly transitioned back into running. The next race comes up. It's called the Joe McGuire Classic, just outside of the town that I'm at. It's in Woodstock. That was a 10K. And once again, my friend, her name's Isabel. She convinced me to go and give it a go, and I said, yeah, sure. And I think for that one, we were about a week out, and I'm mowing my front lawn, and I go and I run over a hornet's nest. So then I get stung all over my legs, and
Oh,
then it's like, okay, and then it starts popping up and it gets infected. So now they got me on antibiotics. So I said, I'm still gonna do this run. I show up at the run, and it's like I'm still not really a runner at this time, and I'm seeing everybody kind of in their fancy clothes, and I'm just sitting there with whatever shorts I get on. Then my friend Isabel and her friend, they take off and said, "You want to join us for like a warm-up run?" And they take off, and they're like hundreds of meters ahead of me, and I'm just like, you know what? This is like you're way better than I am. I'm just gonna slow down, and I'll just wait for the race to start. We kick on with the race, and I don't know what happened, but I ended up getting like I broke 50 minutes in that 10K, and I haven't broken 50 minutes in like 15, 17 years since I was running before. So knowing that I did so well without really doing any prep for that, and I'm blessed, I didn't expect that to happen. I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get this passion back for the thing that I used to love. So I'm going to sign up for a few more races. So we have a half marathon coming up. It's the Fredericton Fall Classic. And I go and I'm starting to do a little bit of more training for it. Then I think I start coming down with IT band issues. So that's fine. Everyone gets those. So I kind of stopped training, probably like a month out. And then we actually get up to race weekend. And yeah, I'm going to give it a go. I show up to the start of the race and I look down at my feet and I'm like, where are my running shoes? And it's like, oh God, hopefully they're in the car. So I run back to the car. They're not in there. And it's like, all I get on is I get on these Skechers slip-ons. And it's like, okay, should I still do this? Yeah, why not? So I go and I run the half marathon, and they're really padded, so that's pretty good, but they got no ankle support. I go and I give it a go, and I do a lot better than I thought to, and then it's like, okay, I got that half marathon done, and I did a few marathons before, which I kind of mentioned, but I never did a half marathon. And then it's like, you know what? Maybe I actually push this. Maybe I try a 50K. And I didn't know anything about ultra running back then. And they had a road 50K that was coming up in October. The half marathon was September.
Mhm.
And I said, yeah, you know what? I asked for a little bit of advice. Should I do this? And the advice they gave me was, no, you don't have enough time to do this. But I'm stubborn. I said, I'm going to give it a go. So I sign up for it. And then it happens to take place like at the tail end of a tropical storm. So when I get up the morning of the run, it's like the rain's pouring down. And so be it. You know what? Let's give it a try. And for that run, I'm always someone who likes to kind of bring joy to others when they're running. And I learned this in one of the marathons I did, the Ottawa one, because I saw a guy running in a kilt. And as you know, when you're doing any long runs, a lot of people go through these low moments. And if you see someone kind of like doing something to give you a laugh, it's fantastic. It actually push you, to the end. So when I did the PEI marathon, it was in October, it was near Halloween. So I said, I'm going to run this, dressed as Superman. And I thought that kind of brought up a good spirits to a few people. So for this 50K, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm a geek. So I go out, I had this like Yoda backpack, kind of like from Luke Skywalker on Empire Strikes Back. And I throw it on my back and I throw it. I don't have anything, your flax or your running vest because I don't know anything about running for that duration by this time. So I just have this Yoda backpack. And of course, the rain's coming down. So that's getting all soaked and heavy. And within that, because I was having issues leading up to the 50K, I wasn't sure if I could even do it. And within 2 kilometers, my legs started acting up, probably IT band issues again, unless I got another 48 to go. And then I think at about like kilometer 19 or 20, there's like a porta potty there, and it's like, I got to use the bathroom. And of course, there's a little bit of a lineup. So then I'm standing there just frozen, like not walking around like I should be. And then my leg just seizes up, and I'm like, I could barely even walk.
Mhm.
But then I continue, to push on. I get a 2 25K loop. I get to the first 25K done, and then it's like the rain's slowing down a bit, and I'm able to push it through the next 25K. I got no fuel on me or anything because I don't know
Mhm.
anything about that. I come across to one of the tables, the water table, and the volunteers there. This is near the end, and they got like a pack of muffins there. It's for them. And I'm like, I got no food. Can I have one of your muffins? And they gave it to me. And I'm running away, and I'm like screaming, like, yes, this is the best muffin I ever had. And then we finally get to the end of the run. I got probably about 2Ks out. I think I'm the last guy there. And I see this volunteer on a bicycle, and I think they're on a radio with probably the main finish point, and they're saying like, you got one final guy here coming in. And I'm past the cutoff time, but they're like, let's keep the clock running for this guy. And I come across at like 6 hours and 15 minutes, and they're rolling up the carpets as soon as I run across it. And it was like, yes. And I got my parents there. And I look at that is even though that was, pretty much a dead last finish, I'm in pain. And it ended up being one of the greatest experiences of my life. And
Mhm.
one of the proudest things I've ever done too, because it shows that you don't give up, and it shows what happens when you don't give up. And this is something that's you see so often in ultra running with, things just happen when you're dealing with long distances. And regardless of how I finish, that is one of the best moments of my life. And then at that time, shortly after that time, I'm like, I love ultra running. I got to get into this. So I'm checking out podcasts, and I
Mhm.
see one called Everyday Ultra. We both know that.
Yep.
And I'm hearing Joe on there, Joe Corcione, who's their coach, and he's interviewing different people. And it's like I'm hearing the things that he's saying about not giving up, about pushing on. I don't even know who his guests are. I know one of them was the incredible Sally McRae one time. And I'm just getting so excited and so inspired by what I'm hearing about this ultra running journey. That's like, okay, I gotta actually gotta seriously get into this, give it a go. I'm in like my mid 40s at this time. I got a 1 year old, which is, that's dealing with when you got two young kids. That's hard to do anything, let alone,
Mhm.
train for like these long runs. And then And then I say, I want to sign up for like one of these really long runs. So I said, I was looking over at different races within Canada. We're different than what you got here in the States. You got a lot in the States. And then I see one called the Quebec Mega Trail, which is in just outside Quebec City. It's one of the bigger ones we have in Canada. And it's like, you know what? I want to give the 100 mile a go. And I sign up for it. I start doing the registration. And then it's like, okay, what is your CV? What are your previous, you got to have a point system to actually get into the 100 miler. And then I realized I don't have this. I can't do this. There's a 100K option. And it's like, okay, I'll sign up for the 100K. But then what I like to do too is I like to somehow make it more bigger than myself. So raising money or whatever. When I did that 50K, I did part of that for a charity on base to try to raise funds for the National Defense Workplace Charitable Campaign that year. I raised a few funds thanks to a lot of friends and family. They pitched in. So I wanted to try to do something for this 100 miler. So I said, can I get more money? You know how things work. The bigger the challenge, sometimes the bigger people want to contribute to that. So if I could somehow convince the organizers to let me do the 100 mile run, maybe I'll be able to bring more money in.
Mhm.
So I emailed them and I explained them the situation. And thank God they said, yeah, we love this. We're going to give you the special buy into the 100 mile run race. And then I said, fantastic. And then that's going to be in June, first week of July in 2024.
Mhm.
And now we're in we'll say we're in January now. And then I reach out, I see that Joe now is offering spots to actually coach people. He's got like a backlog of people. It makes sense. And then I put my name in. And then like February, he reaches out and it's like, hey, I got a spot open. Do you want to, be part of the team? And I'm like, oh my God, like this is incredible. Here I am, a guy that knows nothing. And it's like one of the top podcasters there is. Amazing team. And that's how I met you. And it's like, you know what? For sure, I want you to be my coach. And then he just starts laying out the plan for me. And then we kind of go from there. And it's like, we're in the winter now. So I'm doing all my training and like, the cold winters of Canada, a lot of the snow on the ground, the blizzards. And I'm not a, I was born in Chile. I'm not a cold weather guy, even though I lived here my whole life. But it's like, this has got to be done. This is what Joe wants. And let's do it. And we start going through the training. Everything's going extremely well. I'm always asking, like how long are these long runs going to be? I want more. I want more. And then we get to like the 3-hour weekend runs, the 4-hour ones. And then I have a 4-hour run, 4.5-hour run set up. And we're in April now. And there's this highway that goes from Fredericton, where I live, the central part of New Brunswick, the province I'm in. And it goes down to St. John, which is kind of the lower, right on the ocean, the southern portion. And there's I said, you know what? I'm going to try doing this portion of this highway, 20 kilometers there, 20 kilometers back. There's some elevation in there, beautiful scenery. So let's give it a go. And I made this humongous mistake. I recently bought 2 pairs of new shoes, trail running shoes. And I'm going to try to break one of these shoes in for first time on like a 40K run down a highway. So such a big mistake. And you're a coach, Liz, and we don't tell our athletes to do this.
Yeah.
And I still give it a go, and I'm feeling good. I get the 20K back out, and then I start running the 20K back. And then I start slowing down. It's like, okay, it's fine. We're just getting tired. I get back to my car. And then, of course, I'm sort of in the middle of nowhere down the middle of this highway. The car won't start, even though it's a new car. And it's like, oh, my God. So now here I am tired, and I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. I was able to get someone to come and pick me up. And then for the next few weeks, I'm just taking some time off. I'm just noticing that my legs aren't feeling the best. There's like something going on here with my ankles. And then I finally decided, you know what? I'm actually going to go in. I'm going to get this looked at. And I go in, and it's like, okay, something's going on here. Let's get some x-rays done. And they take the x-rays, and they came across, it wasn't clear that there was a break or a stress fracture. It's called lucency, which shows something was wrong. But they said, you got to treat this as a stress fracture. And I don't even know what that means, because like I said, I don't have the education. I know that it's not good for running.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, you got to take time off. They get me into physiotherapy, and the physiotherapist at that time, she became a good friend. She's kind of explaining to me what I can do, what I can't do. This is kind of the early May now, and I have my race coming up beginning of July, and it's like, okay, is like she's explaining to me, okay, you could still do like aqua jog, you can still get into the pool, you can still do like bike riding, but you really can't run. And this like devastated me. It's like we like had to move, and I'm an honest guy, and I had built this like vision of myself as being like this runner who just wants to go and do these crazy things and inspire others. And it's like now I looks like I lost this. So we ended up to another room, and she's explaining to me like, this happens, don't worry about it. We'll do what we can to get you back into it. And then I had 2 marathons that I had signed up for like in the middle of May, and I was really looking forward to running these two. And one of them, we had a team that we built together as part of the for like that winter. 4 of us called ourselves the Fantastic Four because, like I said, I'm a comic geek,
Mhm.
and we are all training for different distances within this marathon. Some of them were doing 10K, some of them like the half marathon, and I had the full marathon. And I'm looking at them, and they've been putting in the training. I've been putting in the training, and it's like now I'm seeing them, and they're able to go and continue to do their races. And it's like I can't, and it's like my role in this, my contract of being able to do this, I can't live up to it, and I'm feeling like I'm letting so many people down. And then I talked to Joe. I text Joe that morning, and I'm like, Joe, I got bad news. It's like looks like I got a possible stress fracture, not confirmed yet. And he texted me back right away, and he says like call me. So I give him a call, and it's like I go down, and I leave the office, and I go down to my car, and I'm like talking like Joe, like sorry. He's like explaining what's going on, and he asked me the question. He asked like, "How are you?" Not even thinking about the run. Just, how are you? And I open up to him, and I say like, "This is horrible. I'm letting everybody down," which is not the case at all.
Mhm.
And he starts calming me down. He says like, "You know what? Like we're not out of the run yet, the race yet. We got like 12 weeks to go. And I know that with stress fractures, it could be like anywhere 4 to 8 weeks if things go well."
Mhm.
And then he's like, "Okay, let's focus on getting what you need to do to get over the healing part of it, and then try to get back into then building the base back up." And Joe does what Joe does, and he like builds you up again.
Mhm.
And I leave that call, and I'm like, okay, get back into it, do what you got to do, listen to what the physiotherapist says,
Mhm.
and also try to stay involved within the running community somehow, because you got to do that. And that's how what he did, I think, when he got his podcast going.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I get back into whatever the physiotherapist says. I'm getting into the pool doing aqua jogging for the first time. I'm like the only guy in there doing it, and I look totally awkward at the first few times doing that. And that's fine. Who cares? Like I'm just getting
Mhm.
back into what I need to do to get back healthy again. And then over the next few months, the next few weeks, it's like I'm talking to him every once in a while, and he's giving me guidance, and we're seeing how the healing's going. And the healing, that's a whole other story, and we'll get into that. But it's like, yeah, how can I stay involved with the running community? And it's like I've always wanted to get into some type of inspiring people and helping other people be the best that they can be. And so one way to do that is being a coach.
Mhm.
So of
Mhm.
course, one of the best organizations for that is the USCA. So I
Mhm.
said, you know what? I'm gonna see if I could sign up for one of these courses to get my coaching qualification. And I see the one for being an endurance coach. Okay, let's do it. Let's sign up for it. And a lot of the times that I'd be spending, running, I said, I'm going to spend this time going through this course, and I go and I power through it. I get the qualification, and it's like, as I want more and more running, I'm like, I want more and more coaching, more and more, skill sets and education and what it is to be a runner. So then I sign up for a whole bunch of other ones. I sign up for the nutrition qualification certification. I get through that one. I sign up because so part of the injury happened for multiple reasons. The initial injury, it happened because I wasn't necessarily always listening to what Joe had planned for me. Um, And sometimes I would probably do a little bit more than I should have. Looking back,
Mhm.
I questionally was doing that.
Mhm.
Every once in a while, I would do sort of one of the training plans that one of the other runners had, and we'll go out because I wanted to be with them. I wanted to be with the team, and I would go and do what they had set, and then I was like, you know what? I still feel good. I'm gonna like double that, and like we're
Mhm.
doing like speed workouts. So when you combine that, and then you combine it with, I was getting barely any sleep every single night for like I had a newborn and I was doing all the night shifts. So I would be up every single night. I have no idea how important recovery is. So it's like I'm not recovering properly from all the workouts that I'm doing. And then my nutrition plan was just junk. So it's
Mhm.
like, yes, it's not just about training, it's about nutrition, it's about recovery. And I only got one of those things that I'm doing somewhat correctly. So I
Mhm.
think part of the injury became because of the inability to actually listen to my body and allow my body to recover.
Mhm.
And these are lessons that I've since learned since then. So we get back to, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to learn about, get this nutrition, certification so I could actually learn a lot more and then help others not make the same mistakes that I did. And then there's other courses that they offered. They had smaller courses, sports psychology. Okay, there's a humongous component to what we do, to how to, you know, listen to the mind thing as well as, not just the body thing. So how can I, listen to become better mentally, more mental strength? So get into sports psychology. How does that work? And then eventually I want to do my own races. So there's one sports director. I get that certification as well. So I'm like, I got all these like 4 certifications. And funny enough, when I finally got the qualification for the endurance runner, I did the test and I passed the test the exact same night that I should have been going and running QMT, the
Mhm.
race. So it's like perfect timing. Everything is just like painting this picture. And then eventually after that, I wanted to get the because I know not everybody wants to be an endurance runner, so I didn't get the actual just the normal running coach certification.
Mhm.
Um, the other big thing that happened in this buildup is that in the recovery process, what I heard initially was, okay, you can't be running. Okay, and I'm just thinking I can't be running, but I can still do other stuff. And it's like, okay, you can still do biking. That's fantastic. But it ended up getting to a point where like I would go there and I would do like 60K bike rides.
Oh,
And then I would do like you know what an aerodyne bike is? It's one of the ones
yeah.
you move the yeah. So I
Mhm.
would like
Mhm.
do 2 hour sessions of that, thinking, okay, I'm not running. That's a good thing. Also at this time, we had a competition coming up within the base that I'm part of at. It's called Fittest Soldier, Fittest Unit.
Mhm.
Me and a couple others helped put this together a few years back. And I was thinking not a lot of components of this year's, you know, iteration of that involves running. So maybe I could actually be a competitor in this with a stress fracture, but it's not running. So let's give it a go. I ended up we took part in the team concept. And then I wanted to one thing in the military when you're a leader, you always try to lead by example and do what you ask the soldiers to do.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, I'm putting this team together. I'm part of this team. I want to get some training for everybody beforehand. Let's find out what the actual components of this competition are going to be, and let's do some practice rehearsals.
Mhm.
And I go and I do the first rehearsal. This is like early May. We're going back now. Sorry, no, probably like early June. And I get through it, and we're doing like jumping burpees. We're doing like walking lunges with weights, and I get a stress fracture at this time. This is like
Mhm.
so dumb. And then I do a second day because we ended up reaching out to a couple other teams at other units to say, listen, you want to join us in this training? And like I'm rather than doing the small running portion of that, I just go and get on the aerodyne bike for that portion,
Mhm.
knowing that the competition is still a few weeks out. And then later on that week, I'm starting to get like ankle issues again, and I email the physiotherapist and explain like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and she says like, you got to give me a call right away. And
Mhm.
I call her right away, and it's like, you cannot be doing this. And it's like you are setting back your recovery time so much. And in my mind, because I was thinking I'm not running, I'm still good to go, but that was not the case. So I said, okay, you know what? I got to get serious about this recovery. I don't go into the competition. and I just start listening to exactly what she's saying. But as we're going forward too, I'm looking at these other races, these other competitions coming up later on in August, September. And I remember I sat down with her at one of the meetings where she'd get an update of how I'm doing. And things are going well. And then I always ask, hey, is this a possibility? Is this a possibility? And she says this phrase to me. She says, you know what? I want you to be able to run in like 2025, because we're in 2024 now. And I listen to what she's saying, and I'm like, makes perfect sense, which then squashes a lot of the races I was hoping to do in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And then I leave her office, and things are going well. The recovery is going well. But in my mind, I'm just thinking about all these races that I'm losing, and now I'm losing the whole year. And I'm like really upset. I get back to my office. It's lunch hour. I'm sitting in my chair, and I'm like just hunched over thinking like everything is going wrong with this recovery. And it's not. But in my mind, that's what I'm saying. And I was like, I get over things pretty fast. And by the end of the day, I'm like, okay, this is reality. Accept it. Let's look at 2025. And at the end of the day, I'm on my phone and I type in world's hardest endurance races, ultra races. And it's like, I'm going through the list, and you got like Bad Route 135. You got Western States. You got UTMB. I think you got like Tour de Géance on there. You know the races.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these you either have to have qualifications for previous races. Makes perfect sense. Or they're like really expensive, like I think Marathon the Sables, I think it's called. And it's like, these don't work for me. And then I see one called Dragon's Back. And I originally heard of this race, I think back in March of 2024, when the incredible Jasmine Paris, she ran Barclays, and she became the first female to ever finish it. And I kind of Googled her, and she ran and won this race in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forgot all about it until I looked up this list. And I noticed that you didn't need any sort of previous races for this. The timeline for it worked out because it would be September of the following year, so I'd be able to train for over a year. And I say, might be a possibility. And I get home that day, and I asked the mother of my two kids, you know what, are you fine with me doing this, knowing that she would have to take care of the kids for that week? She said yes. And I reached out to Joe and I said, is this even a possibility based off the training that I would need to do for this? He said, yes, we are a little over a year out. So long as there's no more significant injuries, it is a possibility. And I said, yes. And I put my name in to get, notification on pre-registration. And then I sign up for it. And then, we'll get to Dragon's Back because that's like a humongous component of this. But even before then, like we're in the fall time frame, and we finally get to some races where I actually can race. I do a small 10K in like early October. That went very well. I was very happy with it because I had no idea if you were even able to finish the 10K. But I ended up doing like 14th place. I'm blessed to have even finished it, to let them get that placing. And it's not about the placing, but I still felt good. I felt like I deserved to be there. I do another one 2 weeks out, 2 weeks further past that. And then I do my basically another one called Bootstrap Boogie. And I know you had a couple of guests from St. John, the podcasters. They talked about, a lot of the community down in St. John, amazing community. So I said, I'm going to do this 17K run. It's like part of it's technical terrain, part of it's on the beach with these pretty large rocks that are they're hard to run on. And I said, once again, I want to make this fun. And with this race, if you wanted to, you can get dressed up. So I decided I went in and I got dressed up in a bear costume because I'd wear that with trick-or-treating with my kids the night before. And I want to put a little bit of humor to this. So I'm going to be the Charmin bear. So here I get this giant box of like toilet paper, it's like extra strength. I'm gonna run the 17K wearing this costume and carrying this giant bundle of TP, and it was one of the hardest things I ever did because it's like really baggy, and I'm trying to do over this technical terrain, and I ended up getting it done, and I'm just really in good spirits. Things are getting back into where it's like, you know what, I'm back to being a runner again, but I still wanted to do this challenge of 100-mile run. 100-mile distance. And I knew that that was not going to happen in 2024. So I said, you know what? I reached out to my, then I started thinking about maybe just a 50K because it's still ultra distance. And it's like, talked to my physiotherapist and she brings up the point, you know what? You don't have enough time to actually get that distance in, but maybe you actually combine it with some type of triathlon, swimming, bike, to be able to do it. And I said, you know what? Perfect. That's such an awesome suggestion. And then I'm thinking, you know what? If I'm going to do that and I'm going to do biking and maybe swimming, why did I go and I actually make it a longer distance rather than just a 50K? And let's try it for a 100-miler. And I'm not a big swimmer at this time, but I'm like, okay, you got to start learning kind of how to swim. So I start going to the YMCA. My priority has always been my kids, and we got to get the kids to daycare. So I'm like, I got to be able to get time in to train for this even before the kids are up. Now the YMCA, it opens at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, let's go. And I'm able to go and get some either weightlifting or time in the pool. And I could get there at 5:30. I could get it back, finished in an hour, make my way back, and then I'm able to get the kids ready for daycare. And I'm still able to get my training in as well as my priority, which is being a father.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting the training in, and I can't master that front stroke down. And I'm sort of like, okay, fine. I can still do the backstroke. I could still do, the breaststroke. And that's how I'm going to do this swimming portion of it. And I'm talking to Joe, and Joe's giving me ideas of maybe doing the running portion second rather than the bike. Okay, makes perfect sense. And then we're in the December now when this is going to happen because I wanted to do it for my birthday, and I wanted to do it to also get. The idea was that I was going to sponsor a family Christmas time, have some amazing friends and family pitch in, and then I would do this just challenge. And then probably like a few weeks out, 3 weeks out, I'm noticing issues with my ankle, my right ankle, not related to the stress fracture, but I think it was more tendon related. And I think because I wasn't properly learning how to swim, I was just taxing my tendons a lot more than I should have. So I kind of stopped some of the training for it. And I'm just praying that, you know what, when it's December 12th, I'll actually be able to do this. And this was the day before you started off your 200-mile run across Florida. And it's the day of, and I was like, okay, we're going to give it a go. And the idea was what I would do is I would do 100 laps in the pool. And I did the math wrong, but I was like, that would give me 2.5K. And then I would then run from Fredericton, so sort of the main hub where I live at. And that would be like a 25K run. And then I would run to the base gym, where then I would get the rest of that 100 miles, that 160 kilometers on the bike.
Okay.
And then I get the swim portion done. I started noticing ankle issues fairly early on in that, but I just power through it. And I get I'm looking at my watch, and I get, I think I get like 2.4 kilometers done because that's what I was planning for. And then I get changed to get ready to do the run portion. And then I look at like how many laps and it was like 96 laps, and I wanted to get 100. So I did the math totally wrong. I'm like, no. And then that's fine, whatever. And then it's like, I'm back in my car. I'm just having some banana, having some fuel to get ready for the run. And then I get out of my car, and like literally within like probably like 10 meters, I'm like, I cannot run. My ankle is so bad that I can't run. And it's like, okay, what am I going to do here? And it's like, I still have to at least give it a go. So I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna hike this. I got my poles out, and I'm kind of going through this first part of this like city with poles, whatever. I don't care how silly I look. It's early morning now. We had a really bad storm the night before, and I'm just like, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna get to the base. And I think I ended up filming you a hype video for your run, like when I was actually doing that. It's like, you know what, Liz? Like trying to get this done. I want you to use this to kind of inspire you for your 200-mile race the next day. I get through the running portion. I get back to base. Time to get on sort of the bike there, and things are going quite well. But then things start slowing down. And what I didn't end up doing was I didn't notice the time that the base closed. So it's like, and because also I couldn't run, I ended up only hiking. That made things like 2 hours longer. So then as the afternoons going on, I'm realizing that there's no chance that I'm going to be able to finish this 100-mile portion, the 100-mile endurance challenge. And my family came down from Nova Scotia to basically cook supper. And then I wanted to spend, my birthday with my kids. So I'm like, I have a choice. I either continue on with this, knowing that I'm not going to reach my goal, or I'm happy with what I did, and I actually go home, I spend time with my family, my kids, and I'm still happy with what got done.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even an option for me. It was like, I did the best I could. I'm going to then go back to prioritizing what means most to me, and that's my family.
Mm-hmm.
So we finished at like 6:30. I still could have went on a couple more hours. I got like 96K done, but I'm still like, you know what? I was injured for most of this.
Mm-hmm.
I still pushed through, and like that 50K where I struggled and finished last, I'm still very happy with what the end result was. And these are just lessons that I'm just learning along the whole journey here. And then yeah, I didn't get my 100 miles in for that year, but who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Now the focus is on Dragon's Back. And we started training again, and Joe kind of coached me through that kind of triathlon type style event, and now where the focus is only on getting ready for this insane race. And we start focusing on the winter of 2025, this past winter. And my second child's born at this time. He was born in August, the August beforehand. So I got these two young kids, baby and a toddler. And now we're into like February, and it's like when you got young kids and they're in daycare, all they do is bring home sickness and colds. And then this is like now it's like a weekly thing where like I'm like sick, and as we know, you don't want to train when you're sick. So like my training for this extremely hard race is like getting really compressed, and then I get a second bout of COVID, and then I lose time with that, and then in April now I come down with pneumonia. And it's like this lasts for like a month and a half. And it's like I'm not getting in this proper training. And we're like 3 months out now, 4 months out. Oh, sorry, probably like 5 months out from Dragon's Back. And things are just going so bad. And Joe reaches out to me, and he lays down the line. He says, you know what? You have got to we got to get serious about this. And just started putting in the work. And I totally agree with them. And we got on a plan, and that plan was mainly hiking, because I learned the lesson training for the Quebec Mega Trail that, especially when you're doing a mountain race, a lot of that's going to be hiking anyways. You can't be going and doing these speed sessions and what have you. So we're going to focus on getting the treadmill runs training in. And you're in Florida, and I know you were training for a mountain race,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like flat here, but it's really not hilly as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like programming a lot of just treadmill workouts, just maximizing the elevation and going for an hour or what have you, but just at a hiking pace. And things are going really well with that. And then finally we had a ski hill that's like an hour away. But once again, and we're getting to the long sessions now, like the 3-4 hours. And I'm trying to fit this in with two young kids, and it's like, how do I do this? And it's like, okay, these long sessions are on the weekends. I'm just going to get up at like 4 a.m, drive to the ski hill, and whatever distance or whatever time I need to get in, I'm going to get that done really early and still make it home in enough time to spend most of that day with my two kids.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sometimes that I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, just driving in the dark to get there. And I don't care. I'm still getting my training in, and I'm still doing what I have to do to be a father. And that was basically preparing me as best as I could for the run.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much to plan for this. Now, a sidetrack to this is that one thing about endurance running, and a lot of us that compete in this, and you'll agree with this,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us do this with for different reasons. Some of us do this because we're just trying to overcome different trauma, different things going on in our life. And it's like, I had a lot of things that were happening in my life at that time too, and I'm not going to go into it, but it was leading to bouts of depression, anxiety that I had for a long time. And I was like, this was affecting the training as well. And
Mm-hmm.
the training was the only thing that was really keeping me, kind of sane. And when you lose training, it's like, your head goes into different spaces.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, I was like just not in a good headspace in like much of the summer. And a lot of people don't know this, and I'm fine sharing it. And it's like, I was like, okay, I have a choice. I'm focusing on my physical health. I got to focus on my mental health and my emotional health as well, because
Mhm.
that's what you do when you're a leader.
Mhm.
And it's like, I couldn't solve this by myself. And as I couldn't solve the running piece, the physical piece, and that's why I reached out and get a coach. I got to make sure I got to get help with this mental piece and this emotional piece as well. So I ended up going. I did one of the things that's really hard for people to do, particularly men in the army. And I said, you know what, I got to get a therapist.
Mhm.
So I ended up getting a therapist. And much like a coach, a running coach could help you figure out what's wrong running wise. You know, getting a therapist was able to help me figure out what's going on in the mental and the emotional side. And I think that then just made me a completely all more well-rounded person, which then helped me better prepare for what I was going to face within Dragon's Back.
Mhm.
And that was just one of those things that a lot of the times the hardest things in life, you know what, it creates the best, you know, it makes it adverse. It's increases your ability to adapt to adversity. And I made the choice at that time to get the help I needed. And here I am now. And you know, Dragon's Back, we'll talk about Dragon's Back, but it's funny, one of the I like looking for inspiration wherever I can find it.
Mhm.
There's this amazing book. I'm not sure the exact title of it, but it's like The Boy, the Horse, I think The Mole and the Fox. It's a sketchbook. And within the sketchbook, the story of the boy's lost, and he learns from these different animals about how to overcome adversity. And there's a question that he asked. It's amazing. He asked a horse, "What's the bravest thing you ever said?" And the horse answered, "Help."
Mm.
And I think that's one thing that some people are so hard to ask for. Help,
Mhm.
whether it's running or whether it's getting that you know, the help, the emotional or the mental help. And I think that particularly being a coach is that, and being an endurance runner, we're hesitant to ask for that help. But when you do, you make yourself so much stronger.
Mhm.
And I think when I look back at the last year, by not being afraid to ask for help, it prepared me for doing what ended up becoming, I would say, the bravest thing that I ever did. Not getting help at that time it was, but actually doing Dragon's Back, because Dragon's
Mhm.
Back was a whole nother beast.
Oh yeah.
So I guess we'll talk about Dragon's Back now, unless you have any other questions. I know that was a lot there,
No,
but
that's awesome. Awesome.
yeah,
And you explained it so well. Like we all go through crazy things, and not to get like into any nitty-gritty on anybody's, like yours, mine's, anyone else, but I think one thing we all literally struggle with is asking for help and leaning on other people, because like we've become this like crazy endurance person that just wants to go do things alone. And don't get me wrong, I know, and we all talk about that. I know I talk about this on the podcast.
yeah,
Like we don't ever do this alone, but we don't really share like what we're going through when we're doing things. We just like do them. And then, you know, when you're injured, and I'm literally experiencing this myself, it is so hard. And so many things go through your mind that typically you not to say don't struggle with, but like you don't realize, because like you're just consistently running, and running is very, very, very mental and good for your mental ability. And I've noticed like the past few weeks, I'm like, I have been so depressed recently. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not running. And yeah, I'm biking and I'm doing other things, but that it just doesn't do it for you. You know what I mean? And I literally just had a conversation with my partner the other day. I'm like, I'm not feeling myself. Like, you can't take things wrong. Like, if I'm being a little angrier or anything recently, like, I'm just doing the best that I literally can. And I hope you are like, you understand that. And she's like, no, 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 I do. But it's not easy. And you went through so much, because not only were you, you know, injured, but you had children, newborn children, two newborn children, and also like you have a very, I'm not going to say like intense, because that kind of sounds aggressive, but like a very demanding job. Like what you do is not easy. I know you're also in charge too, so you have a lot of people that are surrounding and looking up to you and always there for you. So I think the journey was very super hard, and your path was difficult, but you overcame and you did some very courageous things. And I think, as I've always told you, you're an amazing person. And I'm so glad that we know each other and like you've shared what little bit you have and shared your story here. And now, like, you've literally done one of the hardest freaking races out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It lives up to its reputation. Um, I so Dragon's Back, basically what it is, it's a 6-day stage race from the north of Wales to the south of Wales. The distance is 380 kilometers. You get about 55,000 feet of elevation gain. But that doesn't even tell any part of the story because it's the terrain that you're running in, and as I'll get to, the weather that could happen there. But it's also, most races are marked, the route. This race is not marked. Basically, you get a map, you get the GPX, you get your watch, which I use for all my navigation, and then you run a certain portion each day, and then you have basically cutoff times that you got to reach as well, and you just go day after day after day after day. You have the logistics for this was just maybe even harder than the race because you have a sort of weight limit that you have to have, which in your 2 bags, you get 1 bag that's basically, it's your camp bag. That was 59 liters, but that carries all your clothes you got to wear, multiple pairs of shoes, socks. You got whatever you're wearing for that full week. All your sleeping bag, your air mattress. You got all your fuel for that day. They provided breakfast and supper, but everything throughout that day, all your whatever you use for fuel, that's all got to be in there. And there's a weight limit of 15 kilograms for that big bag.
Wow.
And then you had a smaller bag too, which is basically like your halfway bag for each day. And that was only like, I think it was like a 2 kilogram limit, 2.5. So that would have your shoes for the midday, your fuel for the afternoon, and anything else that you need. There's a lot of mandatory kit because of the weather up there as well. And there's weight limits for that mandatory kit. Like you had to have a jacket, but the jacket could only be like 300 grams. I mean, it was so strict on what they demanded for this that like I was literally the 2 weeks before, I was breaking everything down into smaller packs, taking my powder, electrolyte powder, and putting in smaller bags for each, the AM, the PM. I had a towel that was basically, it weighed too much, shall we say, and I ended up using a dish towel for my towel for that week. And it's like you're doing whatever you have to do to get that weight limit down to what they would take. And they were very strict. Like they would weigh this like at least the start of the race, and then periodically throughout the week as well. So logistically, it was an absolute nightmare. The other problem too was that I had already booked my flights, and then to get over from Canada to Wales, but we had a national strike. Our main airline was like a month out, and I ended up ordering through this airline, so I had no idea whether or not my flights were going to be canceled. So all this stress is just building up and building up. Strike got solved. We're good to go. And I'm going over to this race by myself. At the time, I didn't know anyone. I would meet some amazing people over there as well. So I finally arrived there. I got a few days beforehand because I get used to the time zone difference. We start off the race at a town in the north called Conwy, and you actually start inside a castle from like the 1400s. Just phenomenal. And then you actually end in a castle in the south as well.
Very cool.
The first day, there's like 280 of us. We show up, and then they do the inspection of all your kit. And they didn't really get into the extent of what I thought that they would be, which was amazing. So they're checking all your kit. Everything's good to go, thank God. We get the sort of the opening address from the race director, and he kind of was honest with everybody. This has a success rate for the full Dragon of like only about 30% each year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's very, very, very low.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing called the hatchling, which is like basically it's like the half routes. Basically, you do the morning or the afternoon portion, and that's even like another 34%, 35%. So you have basically like 30% of the people are not successful at all. Most of them are from injuries.
Mm.
So he kind of laid this out right from the start. And we all knew this going into it. And he said, you know what? If you don't finish, if for some reason you time out during one of the days, you have the option of then continuing on the rest of the race doing the hatchling. Still extremely difficult, but then you have the less stress and you could almost make it like a running vacation. Now, my intent for the whole thing was to run the whole 380 kilometers, hike part of it, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Um, but it was like, if I'm not successful, the one thing I didn't want was an injury. Then that would have devastated me. But if I still have to drop down, I just give my best and go as long as I can.
Mm-hmm.
We get to day one. Day one is literally it's the shortest day, 50 kilometers, but it's got like over 4,000 meters of elevation, and this
Wow.
is like hard meters. So it's like we start off the race. It's like rainy out. The rain's not too bad, but as we're continuing along, going up into the mountains, then it just starts pouring, and the wind and the rain combined was worse than anything I've ever experienced in my life. I've never seen wind like that. I've never seen rain like that, and it was all together. And they ended up canceling part of the route that day, like the main part of it, where you're up on this crazy knife edge mountain, Kribgotch, I probably pronounced it wrong. And they wouldn't let people go up there because of this, it was too dangerous. So they made it to an hour you're going up the highest mountain in Wales. Still very difficult. And I'm going, and within 10K, my quad starts seizing up and my calf starts seizing up. And I didn't know what was going on because I was still doing a lot of the training and that never happened. So I'm taking my pole, my hiking pole, and I'm like massaging my leg to try to get it loose again so I can continue on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like ready to give up at that time. And I'm like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue on. And we keep on going. And then getting colder and colder. And I'm seeing like people, one lady, she's just a machine. She's like, we come across her and she's like getting on her emergency blanket. People are helping her get it on at the top of the mountain. And she's still like, I'm still going to continue on. I'm not going to let this slow me down. She's wrapped in this blanket. She's got her poles inside it. And she's still like, I'm going to continue on. And it's just showing the fortitude that some of these people have. And things are going fairly well. We get to the part of the half day cutoff point, and I'm like an hour ahead of it. I am completely drenched. I'm freezing. But I'm like, I change my shoes, and then I'm like, I take off right away to go up this another mountain to continue on for that day. And a lot of this is like scrambling. It is like extremely hard to do. It's all wet. There's like almost like waterfalls going down where part of the route was because it just got so much rain. Most of the terrain is like, it's either you kind of hope that you see people in front of you and you kind of follow their route, or you see like a lot of sheep there, so you're like seeing sheep trails. But it's not, a lot of it's not really clear where you're supposed to go. So I'm just following my watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm up on top of this mountain. There's no one around me. I'm freezing, I'm soaked, and I'm like taking, every once in a while I take videos because I just want to let people know how I'm doing back home. And I'm glad I did that. And I'm like at my low point at that time. But I'm like, you know what, let's go. And I continue on. Now I'm at the top of the mountain. I'm losing time now because I can't find the safe way down where I could like scramble down. And then things are just slowing down and slowing down. And I finally get to the bottom of this mountain. I should have been at the bottom of it by 4:40, I think. And it was like 5:30. And the guy lets me know, well done, great job. Unfortunately, you know that you timed out. And I didn't know that at the time because I wasn't paying attention. But I was like, and I asked, you know, how much did I miss it out by? And he said like 50 minutes. And if it was like 5 or 10 minutes, I would have been upset because of like, what could I have done to make up that time? But because I missed it from so much, I was fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the bottom of a hill where there's like a little restaurant there or a little hut, whatever. We go inside and we wait for the truck to take us back. And there's a bunch of other people in there that also timed out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all in the same mindset of like, you know what, we all gave it our all. It's unfortunate, but you know what, we're still going to continue on with the hashing of the rest of the week. So that's what I ended up doing. Basically, what would happen is you would show up I showed up that night. I was fine. You choose to either do the morning portion or the afternoon portion. And then they'll shuttle you to the start of that, each day. Once again, it's still very difficult. But that's what I continued on throughout the rest of the week. I know we got to day 4, and day 4, my knee started acting up, and I couldn't run at all. So this was like was like a 36-kilometer day, but once again, it's hard kilometers, lots of elevation. And not only can I not run, but like a lot of these down slopes, like I can't even go down them. So I'm like doing a lot of this hiking backwards. I got like video of
Mm.
me doing it, and I'm learning how to do this safely. I got my poles out, and I'm just leaning forward, but I still got to get down these mountains. So that's what I do. What I got to do to get it done. Day 5, which is one of the longest days for the full dragon, that's like 3,800 meters, probably like 71K. So
Mm.
for the half, it was like 36K with like 1,800 meters. And that was like a really long day, a really long portion. I'm coming out of it nighttime now along this really technical path along like a river, and I want to get out of there before it gets dark out, before it gets pitch black, because I'm still struggling, but still getting it done. Uh, Finished that day's portion. Now we're at day 6, the last day, and I'm like, okay, let's see if I can even run this. And then I can't. Once again, my knees acting up. So I got to finish off this, just hiking, doing a lot of backwards stuff. Um, but I ended up getting it done. I ended up coming into the castle. The last 2 kilometers was like, I'm not finishing this race walking. I'm gonna actually finish this race running. And that's what I ended up doing. I just pushed as much as I could to go through that finish line. And I got it done. And the total distance, and it's not about the distance, but it was ended up being like 190K with still like over 30,000 feet elevation gain. And you know what? I was actually be able to enjoy it too because I wasn't, pushing myself to the limit where I knew I would get injured. I did not want to be injured. And then you finish this race, and then you're in this castle, and then it's like, I got to go now to get my hotel room for the night. I got all of my 2 big bags. Everything's soaked, absolutely drenched. I got like, they usually have a drying tent, but they didn't do that this year. So they had drying racks outside, but if it's raining all the time, nothing's drying. So now I got this bag that weighs more than it did at the start of it. Plus, I have my kit bag, which was basically my travel clothes. I leave the castle, and as soon as I leave the castle, it's so weird. You're in Cardiff now. It opens up to this metropolis of like Toronto, which will be like Toronto. So I don't know, a big city in the States. And your mind, you smell, you're tired, you're like limping, and you're carrying all this luggage through this city, and it's like, what are people thinking right now? Which is awesome because that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
And I make my way back, and then I get settled for the night, and then I got a 2-day trip that took me forever to get home. That's a whole nother story. But that was also an experience for my as well. And overall, like it was an adventure, and that's what I wanted going into it. Regardless of how I finished, uh, there was multiple times that I just wanted to quit, and I didn't quit. And I saw so many inspiring people throughout that run as well, and we were all in the same boat.
Mhm.
The people are so kind. I've heard "well done" during that week more times than I probably had heard my whole life. And
Wow.
anytime you pass someone, everyone said "well done." And what was really cool about this was you had all the elite runners, and they would start off at like 6 a.m. because you would start off at 6 a.m.
Mhm.
and you had to be in by 10 o'clock each night. But whereas the halfling people that ran the halfling, we would start off in the midday, and we would have them run by us. And these were just absolute machines. And they would be like, well done to you. And you're hearing this from some amazing runners, and you're saying the same thing back.
Mhm.
And you're just like basically everyone's supporting each other. The last day we came across another, I think, endurance race that was going on. We were finishing up the 6-day race. I'm not sure what theirs was. And they saw us, and they knew what we were going through, and they were like, well done, well done. And everyone is just supporting each other. And that's one thing that I love about this sport. And that's one thing that I love about that adventure. In the end, we were pretty much, I hate to using this term, but we were pretty much all winners for actually pushing through.
Mhm.
It was funny because day 1, I said I was ready to give up. Even day 6, I was like, this is horrible. And I was like, I am never doing this again. I don't want to do this. Is like way too much for me. And I questioned whether I belonged during the week. And at the end of it, it was like, you know what? I deserve to be here. And it was like, would I ever come back and try the full distance? And I'm like, day 6, no. But we get to like the first day traveling home, the second day, I'm like, I want to do this again. I don't know how long it's going to take before I give it a go again, but I want to do this again. And it is on my to-do list. I have other plans for the next year.
Mhm.
I'll let you know what those are. But it really was one of the greatest things I've ever experienced, and that was mainly due to the people and the support that I had. Like I said, I kept people. I had a small group that I created on WhatsApp. Every morning, every day, at the end of the day, I would send them videos of how things went. I was completely honest with them. And the one thing Joe taught me, he said, you know what, it's all fine and dandy when you want to show your people, your doubters, that you know what, you can do this. But it's even more important to show your supporters that they should have believed in you. And that's
Mm,
exactly why I wanted to finish that race, to prove
mhm,
my supporters right.
mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure you did the exact same thing.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah, and it's a wild journey to be on because there's so many things that we experience and we feel when we're going through any type of training. There's so much doubt, there's so much positivity, there's so much negativity, and not to mention the support system that you create and the people that you put around you. You don't really realize how important they really are until you're like in it and you need someone and they're there for you. And that being Joe, like you've mentioned multiple times, your PT, your family, all the friends and the people that you included along the way. And they make such a difference. And it's just so hard sometimes, like you said before, to ask for the help when you really need it. And you've just shown how you've done that through this crazy, crazy journey, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, I had amazing support. I've had amazing support during this whole running journey, whether it is Joe, or whether it is one of my good friends, Isabel, who's I'm not running doing this without Isabel. She's the one who the CISM athlete that actually got me back into running.
Mhm.
Um, and there's a few others, like I said, Laura Lee, she's my physiotherapist. I do not get this done without the support of so many others, and
Mhm.
even with the Everyday Ultra, it's a great team there, and I owe all my success to others. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you've already kind of mentioned you have a plan for next year. So what's planned for next year?
Yeah, so next year. So I already signed up for QMT. That's the race
Right.
that I couldn't do when I was injured. Right now it's a 135, so that I mix the 100 kilometer and the 100 mile one. I am going to put my name in for Tour de Gias.
Very cool.
It's a draw, so that happens in February. Um, we'll see what happens.
Mhm.
But I have one thing I learned about Dragon's Back is that I don't fear failure anymore. And that's not like a gun ho type of thing. I'm not like that. I'm not a type A personality at all.
Mhm.
It's that I don't fear going out and trying extremely hard things, regardless of whether you're going to succeed at them or not, thereby inspiring others that they should try whatever they want to, no matter how hard it is, and just seeing where it goes. Because with
Mhm.
Dragon's Back, yes, I did succeed in getting the full, you know, distance, the full race done, but I still pushed myself farther than I would have, say, if I did a 100 mile run, because I ended up doing like 100 and I don't know 130 miles or whatever. But it
Mhm.
also left so much room for improvement by not completing that extra distance. And I think if you want to go and do something that's extremely long, then you're going to learn so much in that with that concept, with that race, even if you don't succeed. But you
Mhm.
also maybe push yourself past these limits that you might not push yourself if it was a smaller distance. So my intent, my goal, and it's everything depends on so many other circumstances, is I want to do all the hardest races in the world just to see how things go. And
Mhm.
whether that's Tour de Giants, whether that's the Jungle Ultra, there's one in 2027 that I'm actually looking at right now. It's the Atacama Crossing, which is the Atacama is a desert 10,000 feet up in the mountains of Chile, where I was
Oh my
born.
goodness.
It's a
Yeah.
stage race, and you know what? Let's just see what we can do. That's
Heck
what it comes
yeah.
down to.
It really does. It really does. Everyone always wonders like why we do these crazy things. And I think you and I've talked to many people, they always say it's like, well, I want to see what I can do. I want to see where I can push, how hard I can push, what I can overcome. And always we want to encourage and inspire other people, which is what we do, even if we're not trying to do it. You know what I mean? So, it's a crazy life, and I feel like we need to go out there and do the things that scare us, frighten
Yeah,
us, because we grow so much as people when
yeah,
we do that. And it might not be an easy growth
yeah,
process. It's probably gonna fucking suck,
yeah. I
but
agree
you
100%.
learn so much. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, we always talk about our whys, and my whys, for sure, my whys are my two kids, Sammy and Jack. But also one of my other whys during this whole journey has just been to inspire others,
Mhm.
because that is an amazing thing to be able to do. And if you're given the chance to do that, whether it's, I mean, you've done that with plenty of people. Joe has, I know, like I said, my friends, Isabel has, I guess I have as well. And that's not for me
You
to say.
have,
Other
yes,
people would say
yes.
that. Um, but if you can do that, then it almost makes like life worth living, you know?
For sure. You have 100% inspired people. You've inspired me. The determination, the hard will, the consistency, the fortitude, all the stuff. Like you've come through so much and you've gone through so much and you're still one of the most positive people I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all have our moments of being negative. That's fine. But you're so positive and you're so encouraging. Like you were out there running, doing something crazy the day before my race, and you wrote me a message to encourage me and keep going. Like the small things that mean the world, and you are one person that definitely does them. So you've inspired me, and you're definitely going to inspire tons of other people who listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And yeah, I am running the race that I got dressed up in the bear costume again this year,
Very
and
cool.
we'll just see what I get dressed up into. Dressed up
Yeah.
this time.
I can't wait to see the video. You got to record
Yeah,
some content and get it
I
up on
will for
social
sure,
media.
for sure.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing this part of your story. I know there's tons more. I'm sure we missed a whole bunch, and we'll have to have you back on one of these days after you do something else that's crazy.
Oh
But
yeah,
before I go,
yeah,
I like to ask this, and you and I are so close. So you know, the running community means the world to me. I think it is just the greatest. It's part of the reason I love running, and part of the reason why I started this podcast is to share stories, because the community is so amazing and we all inspire and encourage everyone. With that being said, what does the word tribe mean to you in the running world?
yeah. That's a tough one, and I've had plenty of time to think about this. I think when you look at tribe, or you look at something like family, or something like the team, honestly, it means so many different things.
Mm,
Because a family is not, the simple concept that we have of it. Neither is a team, and neither is a tribe. It's like more like people that just a group of people that kind of share the same, whether it's culture, same bonds, the same things that drives them, that makes them want to be the people that they are. They share this. They look out for each other. They don't always agree on everything. They don't always do things the same way. But I think the end state is that they still have this inherent why to actually go out in particularly the running world, to run a crazy distance, run for a certain, a really long time, just to be basically together. Like that's, I mean,
mhm.
it's hard to say this, but I think it's more than just a simple answer.
Oh yeah, and it could be changed and
Yeah.
retold multiple different times, and you'll have an experience and that'll make you say it a different way, you know what I mean, or experience what the tribe of runners of this community are. So I love it.
Yeah.
I adore you. I think you've been amazing, and I really can't wait to see all the crazy things that you continue to do in this running world.
Yeah, it's like I said, it was a long time for us to do this,
Yeah,
but I always say things happen exactly when they're supposed to happen. And I
for
think
sure,
our
yeah.
discussion that we had today happened exactly when it's supposed to happen.
No, I agree. And it was so funny. It was like a month or two ago, probably. I was like, I haven't heard from Brad in a while. I wonder if he's like ready for this podcast. But then life got busy. And then you reached out, and I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
perfect. I was literally just thinking about you. So I'm super glad everything lined up and we got to record this, because I know you're super busy. So I appreciate all the time.
I appreciate you doing this. You give so much of us the opportunity to share our story, and that's a blessing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I will have your socials, all the good stuff in the show notes. And then next time you do something crazy, let me know and I'll get you back on the podcast.
Will do.
All right.
All the
Thank you.
best. Take care, Liz.
You too.